gluten is a type of lectin. It's found in grains and especially in wheat, and it's different today than it used to be. The wheat that is available to us today is generally very different from the wheat your parents might have had, or especially their grandparents and previous generations, and especially cultures that were built around wheat consumption would have had. Now, is even an ancestral wheat-based diet better than a more traditional hunter-gatherer-based diet? Probably not. But still, wheat that would have been consumed 100 or 200 years ago is definitely a lot better than what we have today. The wheat we have today was designed by scientists to be more resistant to pests and also be resistant to fungi, be able to thrive in different growing conditions like droughts, and to produce higher crop yields, and also to be short so that farmers could more easily see over their fields. That's why it's called high yield semi-dwarf wheat. That is the wheat that is grown across the world for the most part these days. And as a result, this restructured the natural wheat protein of gluten and made it stronger. And so there's a lot of things that happen with gluten. It produces certainly an insulin response that can lead to an accumulation of visceral fat. It can boost inflammation in the body. And this is true for everybody, not just celiacs. But if you're a celiac, it's also activating a false antibody response that can lead to an attack of the lining of the intestines. Then you get leaky gut, then you get more allergies and autoimmune conditions, and it all really goes downhill from there. And also when you get this, if you have leaky gut and you're consuming gluten, those gluten molecules look a lot like certain compounds from the thyroid and certain molecules from the thyroid, and they can trigger your body to start attacking not just those, but also attacking your thyroid, and then you end up with an autoimmune thyroid condition. This is like, it's a really bad snowball effect that can happen here. And when your gut is damaged by your body attacking its own intestinal lining, the microvilli are no longer able to absorb nutrients. So then you're not getting the proper nutrition from the food that you're eating, even if you're eating the most nutritious foods imaginable. And there's a whole gut healing journey that you can certainly go on to repair that. And if you want to talk more about that, leave it in the comments or in the question box, and I'd be happy to talk more about gut repair. But it's definitely a great idea to not consume gluten as a first step and stop doing that damage. Now, if you have a little bit of gluten here or there, is that going to be the end of the world? No. If you're a celiac, maybe it will feel like it's the end of the world, and you probably should be religious about avoiding it. But for most people, like let's say it's a once or twice a year thing that you have some special treat that has some gluten in it, enjoy your life. It's a balancing act that's going to be a little bit different for each person. There were times in my life where I was heavily religious about this kind of stuff, and last time I was 23 when I was in Paris, and I would not touch a croissant or a pain au chocolat, which was like one of my favorite things in the world when I was younger. If I were there now, I would have at least one of each, have a little bit of that life experience, but then I come back to my daily life and we chill out. We go, back to the usual of no gluten on a regular basis. Now, if somebody in your family is absolutely set on making something with gluten, a good option is to get yourself some einkorn flour. This is made from einkorn wheat. It's an heirloom wheat that is going to be much, much easier on the body than this modern day high yield semi-dwarf gluten. So it's a sliding scale of different ways that you can go about it, but I would say overall gluten and wheat is something that you're better off not having as a staple of your daily diet.
Banana